What would you say is the key to getting a job when switching industries other than having a great cover letter explaining why you want to work for the company and how your skills can translate into the new role? Oh, I love this question, Zachary. The honest answer, Zachary, is you should be doing as much informational interviewing as possible. So informational interviewing is not a job interview. It's interviewing people that are already in the field and having really interesting conversations with them about how they got their job, what they like about the career, where they see themselves going. And then after you've asked all those questions, you earn the right to say, how does somebody like me get into the field? How do I translate? How do I convince companies like yours that I can do this job? You don't lead with that. You lead with talking about them and learning from them. And the reason informational interviewing is so powerful, Zachary, is that if you know what companies you want to work for in the new industry and you start informational interviewing, you're starting off with, I'm not looking for you to get me a job. I'm not looking for you to introduce me to a hiring manager. I am in learning mode. I want to get into this field. I want to get in this industry. The only way to do that is to learn more from people who are already doing it. So that brings their defenses down, their guard down, because they're otherwise they may not agree because they don't want the pressure of trying to help you get a job when you don't have the experience. But what you're telling me is the way you can help me is by sharing your experience with me. People are always willing to do that. And so once you start informational interviewing a lot, you're building connections within the organization. And now let me tell you why that's valuable. So once, let's say you have a company you really want to work for, okay, in your new industry, and you get someone to agree to do an informational interview. And that 15-minute interview ends. And at the end, you say, this has been so helpful. If there was one person in the company that you thought I could learn a lot from, like I've learned from you today, would you be willing to introduce me to that person? It would really help me to keep learning. Well, now that they've been through the informational interview with you and they know what to expect, you're not going to ask them for a job or anything. They're comfortable recommending somebody else you could talk to in the company. And then you do that with that person. You learn all about them, super helpful. If there was one person in the company you could introduce me to, could you introduce me? Let's say you do that 3, 4, 5 times. Now you've had 5 informational interviews. All of a sudden one day, there's a job posted at the company that you think you're a fit for. Okay. You apply to the job, disruptive cover letter, and then you go to each one of those people and you individually message them and you say, thank you is the subject line. I want to thank you so much. The time you spent educating me on your job and the work was so helpful, so much so that I just applied to your XYZ job and I wanted to share the story of why I'm so passionate about it. And closest, this is my story about why, and I just want to thank you. And if done right, you could update your connection story, your disruptive cover letter to say, you know, dear hiring team, after having the privilege of talking with Bill Jones, Mary Smith, Anna Jenkins, right? I can't tell you how much I want to work for this company, but I want to share the story of why. So now the very first paragraph of your disruptive cover letter name drops 5 people you know at the company. And then you go into this passionate story. Okay. Now, what is this person going to do? They're going to want to forward you to the hiring manager. Even though you didn't ask them to, you just gave them thanks. They're going to be so proud. They're going to love the story. They're going to see that you know other people. They're going to and now 2 or 3 people pass you on to the hiring manager. How's the hiring manager not going to interview you? This is how you get into a job where you have no experience.